Hey, what's up guys? Eudes here. This is Toss and Turn. Welcome back. As you notice, I am by myself. Yep. Today's episode is kind of a recap. I wanted my sister present, but she has things to do, and that is life. So, here we are. As you can clearly see, my audio has improved. I think overall, this has been a great learning experience. I kind of want to put something up that I can set up and tear down in like less than 5 minutes. As a New Yorker, I want to move with quick haste. I got my little notepad here. Yeah, I can use a device, but I'm kind of just keeping track of time and then going from there. So clearly, I am solo. Let me know what you guys think about the previous episodes. I know I tried a 30-minute one and then I tried an hour one. I think I'm going to stick to the 30 minutes because, man, it's daunting to, sit down and watch something for an hour. But holy hell, to edit something for what is the duration of an hour is time consuming. So I'm going to keep it down to 30. For those of you listening in, thank you so much. I kind of shoot this at home, so there's a lot of ambient noises that take place, which the idea there is to soundproof the space, right? Working on an office, hopefully that gets done. But in my mindset, it's you gotta get it done and start, and then you can grow from that. So my mission statement would be to be in the present, not to, you plan for the future, you learn from the past, but you're always in the present moment. So even with my training, that has consistently had to evolve, whether that be because I'm deprived of sleep or in general, the job doesn't allow me to work out in the time frame that I want to. So there's that. My personality also changes when I'm on camera to when I'm not on camera. Because here I'm trying to address an audience or be truthful to myself because I want to review these things and see what I'm actually trying to convey. I feel like I live in a world where I have multiple personalities, and the guy that's behind the lens right now is trying to tell me how I should sit, how I should talk. So yeah, being present instead of like being in my head. That's my mission. Trying to be my mission in everything that I do. Like I was even out yesterday and there were times where I wasn't in that moment. And in retrospect, that saddens me because that's probably the major reason why I have selective memory, because I'm not there. So yeah, this whole toss and turn is probably a sleep deprived thing happening with like clanging pipes or noise. We live in New York. But I do like the fast pace of the city, so I don't see myself moving or relocating to a small, like rural or, small community where there's not this ambient sounds all over the space. Processes. I want to talk to you guys really quickly about that. Things will go wrong. Things have gone wrong. Nothing is set in stone. It is a matter of how I get up out of the situations that I've put myself in, whether that is to go out to a club at night and get like more than what I would recommend as being solid drinks. I normally drink whiskey because it sits well with me. Anything besides that, I've learned that it doesn't sit well with my body. I wake up with either a really heavy hangover or things of that nature. So I try now my best to not consume alcohol that's mixed. My body doesn't respond well. But I have no allergens that I know of. I haven't had to scratch my throat in a while, like whatever that was. I really have I choose this plant-based diet solely for the purpose of limitations and control, I guess. I don't know. Mainly, I think I want to support longevity for our planet. So even yesterday I went shopping, tried to make an all vegan pizza, or all plant-based pizza. It's just easy to shop when it has the little V on it. But we picked up some cauliflower power dough. Cauliflower is what they called it. Made it. I mean, it's a thin crust. It's not gonna be like doughy. But I want to try it again and be more creating the flour from scratch and all that. Picked up tomato sauce. Tomatoes very earthy in general. Like any tomato sauce that you're making, it's gonna be hard for you to not have it being plant-based. And the most complex part was getting the cheese. But nowadays, with everything that's in the market, you can kind of pick up whatever cheese. So things will go wrong. Just set your expectations really low. That sounds terrible, but if you don't have expectations, you cannot be disappointed. If you set your expectations bar fairly low, then you will come out of it extremely excited and satisfied. I think I've never gone into, well, I can't say never, man. I've gone into positions where I wish I had set my expectations really low so that I would be pleased or actually happy when the things were actually happening. So, yeah, things will go wrong. Like, just expect that. It's out of your control. I had a my accident happened because of mechanic failure, and it was only out of the shop for about a week and a half, and I hadn't done long distance anything with the bike, so I ended up riding into work, riding to and from work that entire week, and guess what? One morning it just didn't pan out. I came out of it okay. But yeah, I have real trust issues with people. My life was kind of in the mechanic's hand. So I'm going to say, if you are in any way, shape, or form taking your motorcycle to a mechanic, be sure to read the reviews. I chose a mechanic that was more social, in my social circle. I wanted to give back to the community type of thing. I didn't go to my normal mechanic, my certified, in the field of that specific model, the Triumph. There's only at that time there was only 2 shops. Spring Street is one, but now they got one in Brooklyn. There's another one kind of upstate, 2 hours away. And I would go to those shops. Met the guy. I don't know if John is still working there. It's been a few years, but yeah, find yourself a master mechanic under that specific brand so that you don't deal with someone leaving something loose or causing your motorcycle to implode on itself as you're on it. That's the magic. So things will go wrong, and all you can do is prepare for it. That's all you can really do. So be in the present, learn from your past, and definitely plan out the future, even if it will go south or sour. Intent. Is it good or bad? Tendencies that people have. Some of them are great intent, some of them are bad. I don't try to reflect or be in the moment with people's intent. I'm going to go particularly do something and state it and attend, and that's pretty much it. Either you're able to process yesterday was Sarah's birthday. Happy birthday. I completely missed it. My intent was there to go. I had set it on the calendar like a month back. But being that the circumstances is that I am trying to figure out time relative to what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, it just became something that I couldn't attend. So I couldn't attend. And Intent was there, but I missed the opportunity to partake in what would have been a lovely event. Um, yeah. So, is intent good or bad? For most people, the intent is to be in your present company to give you bad juju or energy, or bring you down with whatever snap or witty uh, comment that they might have. We all live in a world that's fairly sarcastic now. I think sarcasm is a big thing. I know I pull that trigger every now and then. So I'm not inhuman. If you have something to say and I can be, I guess if I could be funny in my own right, I'm gonna do it. So I'm at fault for those actions as well. I am human. I'm trying to regulate what I say when I say it, but I have no control over a reaction. That's why I try to be as honest as possible, especially now in my present being. So intent can be good or can be bad. I just work on your own, let people do what they do, and hopefully you got a good reflector. Your guard is up when someone does say something and it can trigger a feeling or an emotion. So your response, now my response is more to wait, but then I'm still being asked to rush my process. So intent, hopefully yours is good. In the world, I try now more than ever before, like I try to do things that can bring a positive light. So if you've met me in the past, I've actually probably aided you in many ways, whatever that is, because that's always been it. But the idea now is to do it without trying to have a negative impact. Like I feel like, once again, influenced by the worst father in all of the cosmos, Goku. He doesn't have a foul bone in his body. So, we judge him as like, you're a terrible parent. But I think his intentions was never to be a father, even though he turned into one. And everyone respects him for it. So, shout out to that animator. Social ups and downs. As you can clearly see, I don't have anyone here to bounce these things off of, so I'm just going down a list. Let me know if that's even something that you enjoy. I don't know. I'm just going down a list. I'm sitting here solo dolo. I spent a little time putting that together. So yeah, this might be like the fastest episode, because even when I'm talking on my vlogs, which I don't post. Mind you, I do not post all the things that I record. I have my own video diaries. I told someone recently, my memory's not the best in the sense of recollection in categories, but I know I spoke to someone about using YouTube as a source of file holder, because you can put things unlisted. So I've been working on edits, I've done a lot of things, but majority is only on my end. And as of recent, I just make sure I hit the unlist, especially on things that now I want to share more. So yeah, I have a ton of videos that I've done. Trip to Hawaii, trip to Texas, brother's wedding, moving from. I had a broken leg and I had to carry a lot of stuff, and I used it as training where I would like walk in 2.5 miles and walk back 2.5 miles carrying a heavier load. But yeah, there's a lot that I recorded and I have not shared. which is okay to not share because it's not where I wanted to be. But socializing, it's ups and downs. That's exactly what it leads me to. The fear of FOMO, fear of missing out. I had 2 years that I didn't, for particularly the first year I was handicapped. And like, as a martial artist, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm vulnerable. Excuse me. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm vulnerable. So, if I have an injury or sustained injury and there might be an altercation or something that goes down, even when I leave home in the morning, I kind of want to be prepped and ready. The only time I feel safe, quote unquote, feel safe are those quotations? Air quotes? I don't know. But the only time I feel unsafe or safe would be in my home because I could lock doors and I can do that type of stuff. But the reality is you're not really safe anywhere. I've seen a lot of things in the course of my life where, even my mom got robbed midday because she didn't close the door behind her, and she's probably had that specific instance trigger the rest of her life, and why she's so direct when she's asking, hey, lock the doors behind you or close the door, or I'll come up behind you and lock the door twice, because it didn't matter at the time of day. Someone who's ever out to do harm will do harm. Like, I'm glad that we have negotiators, but I think it's more so that if they have the intention to do harm, it's already in them. So I've learned over my practice to nullify, put a stop to it using my own physical abilities or techniques. So, but socializing, it has its ups and downs. Only in certain moments I have the ability to present myself in a manner where it brings joy to people. Not all the time. I definitely have found myself requiring a recharge. So I would stay indoors and, resonate with my inner being. So I spent about, I want to say, a little bit over a year, like 14 months, in present company of my sister or a family member, but definitely not socially in the mix of what's going on with everyone that I know or what their events would partake. Where I was very social, I was very outgoing, and I was in the mix of a lot of things. But I think the setback that I've had in life would state or reflect that I was being way too active. So I'm taking that into consideration when I'm deciding what to do, when to do it. And I've had one or two really solid friends that pull me out of my norm and allowed me to come back into a social setting at my own leisure and pace. So that's been a great process, and they know who they are, so thank you. Thank you very much. But it does have ups and downs, I think. You can be way too social, and that means that you might not get projects done, or you're using it as an excuse to not do personal things or growth, whether that is reading, which I do very little of. I say I don't read because I know a lot of people that do read, and man, they crush books. And they'll read through things that they don't want to read. They just know that they have to learn. So in my reality, I say I don't read books, but I have read a few that interest me, mainly about martial arts masters and their process and how they've done things. So socializing. If you're out at 4 a.m. and you know you got work to do the next day, then you know that that kind of social setting has had a negative aspect in your life. I'm not telling you how to live. I'm just trying to be the voice of reason even for myself. Cool. So knowing that you have work to do, being well rested. When I was doing stunts, um, those days were blocked off. So, for example, if you're on set for, even if it's just, you work it out with your coordinator, but if you're on set and you're required to be present and accounted for, you're ready to go, you're geared up, they're not ready for you yet. So you're gonna sit around and like watch everyone else do their thing till your part scene, whether it is, you're watching everything. So hopefully you're enjoying the process of filmmaking, because there's a lot of stuff going on. The pyrotechnics are pretty freaking radical. When's the last time you've seen an explosion go 5 stories and it was intentional? Like, that's pretty rad. But you get to block out that day because your set list or your stunt list will be pushed back. And that's something where you got to find things to do or learn the process. Everything is a learning curve and an experience, and no set is the same. So it's ideal to find something that consumes your time, whether that be writing, drawing, paying attention to what's actually happening, or just digesting the day and enjoying the scheme. I did a few scenes that had to do with riding a motorcycle on the street, but mostly in the forest on slippery terrain. And it was something that even to this day, unless you've done dirt bike riding, someone as a veteran, I'm not going to throw down names, but a veteran of like 10 years plus in the industry, when he showed signs of fear, I was like, ooh, I guess this is really dangerous. But for myself, I'm like, I don't know. I only got a sense of concern when he had a sense of concern, because he knows the industry much better than I. And I had a lot of fun working on set. But I wouldn't have had fun if I did not prepare for it. Like if I wasn't well rested. I was operating a machinery that was much stronger than like the torque settings on that bike. The fact that it was taller, the fact that it was on a wet surface, the clouds had just parted for the scene. That's also something that we had to wait for. Natural things causing a hold on set. But all that stuff plays a big role. So like once the clouds cleared, there is no drying the surface area. Like we just had to do it. So having experience on a bike definitely helped. I have 15 years of riding motorcycles in all elements. I would go out, whether it was raining, it was storms, it was all this stuff. I do miss my bike, but I do plan on getting something in the future that can cruise up and down these streets and be more environmentally friendly. And I'll have to seal it, because the previous motorcycle, I worked on it a lot and I sealed it so that I can ride it in those terrains and not have it like get damaged. That's why I'm so hesitant on going to a shop, because I did a lot of the mechanical work myself, aside from taking it to professionals where I gave it to someone mainly for flats and stuff of that nature. But now I gave it to someone because I did not have time, and yeah, that really backfired. So cutting out times in social settings so I can get work done on my end for processes that need to be done Mic check 1 2. Yeah, that's gonna have to be the norm. So, being right, being correct, being right. That's the next subject matter. It does not matter. I think if you have a perspective that works and it is right for you, I say pull the trigger. I say that a lot, not to hit on a subject of guns or make the slice or make the cut. I could use that analogy. I think that'll work better and it'll be less controversial. So take the slice, man. Whether you're right or wrong, if you feel it, that you need to do it, then do it. Rebuttals will come later. That's why right now I'm asking, how's the audio? Or I know that the visuals are still blown out of proportions. I'll probably get curtains that'll dim this light a little bit more and let this setting, but I do like this setting. So I want to feel comfortable. I want to be in my living room. As you realize, I'm not sitting back, right? I'm like, it's uncomfortable for me to be in front of the camera, but I'm slicing it as you will. And sitting in front of the camera and creating this show and talking out loud and putting my perspective into the cosmos and seeing what you guys enjoy, whether it is what we talked about last, wow, I'd have to flip back my notes, but I know we've already touched upon what is your favorite Saturday morning cartoon, and then a few of our hobbies that we've done. So hopefully you guys write down in the comments below, like right now, what are those two? Because I still want to reflect. And what is a hobby that you do? You're kind of getting to know me and I want to get to know you. This channel will not have much momentum because I'm not concerned about subscription rate, even though it will perpetually increase. Cross my fingers. I'm crossing my fingers for those listening in. Because I want to engage with an audience that isn't kind of my limelight. What I live for, more of like being active, being environmentally conscious, and pursuing a career that isn't all about income. That has never been my gist, but more about like what I love to do and bringing those platforms into existence. So being in the right doesn't matter. So if you want to be financially stable, I've turned down like IT jobs. I've turned down managerial jobs, things that would have brought six-figure income into my life, mainly because I know that that will cause an unsustained amount of happiness. I'd rather be struggling and happy than be financially fine and unhappy. Happiness, to me, is a bigger, it's a bigger endeavor. Like I want that throughout the course of my life. And I know that it'll come with downsides. Like ultimately, 2017, I was at my happiest because I was pursuing a career that I didn't even think I was able to attain. But as a martial artist, it comes with so many different experiences that even those in my inner circle became people that were already in the industry, and all they could do was say, you're more than qualified to partake in this life choice that I've already made. So I am grateful, and martial arts is 100% part of my life. It's just not something that I fire truck again. We'll wait it out. And I say fire truck because I'm hoping it's not an ambulance. Yeah. Wow, lost of train of thought. But the rabbit hole will go deep in this episode because I have no one to stop me. So I'm trying to stop myself. But in general, like surround yourself with things you'd love to do, and hopefully you wouldn't work a day in your life. Jobs will just appear and income will fluctuate. But if you have a sustained lifestyle, income, then great, and then everything else just kind of sits into position. I know a few people that work in the nursing industry or like hospital, um, actually live long enough. They're even in the educational, there are business owners of sorts. And then I know a lot of individuals that have started up their own apps and companies of that nature. And it's been 4 or 5 years and they're thriving in their field. And I can only show praise and say, yeah, man, job really well done. For instance, I've had to turn down, like I said in the previous episode, a few jobs, but it's because I know where my headspace is at and what I'm looking to do for this year. And it's a lot of personal growth and exploration once again, till I'm satisfied. But mostly I'm doing a lot of rehabilitation so that I can get back into said careers. I need to be comfortable with my body before I can present my abilities again. So being right doesn't matter. If you have an idea, work on it till you're satisfied. As an artist, which I'm not, Jesus, can I say that? I guess I can't, I said it, so I guess I can say it. As an artist, I am creating things that like to my opinion, are not complete. I dislike them. When I'm hitting post, they're not done, man. I could look back and say, man, I wish I had done that a little different. But because I've given myself a deadline, which is super important, give yourself a deadline. Give yourself a period and put your all into it. Like 100%. Put 100% into the project. Give it your best. Hit that deadline mark and then hit complete and send. Because the next project will be better from it. So don't create that cap where now you have a pending art piece or a project or a mold or a structure or something that you've decided to work on and it's now sitting on a back burner because you've become so busy. But knowing that if you had hit send or submit or whatever on that specific time frame, then you would have been onto the next project and kind of doing a retro of like, oh, that was terrible, like my first 2 episodes. That was terrible, but at least they're done, at least they're out there, and whether they receive good or bad remarks, I know that I'm okay with it because I've set them free. I think that works well with like a lot of people that create their own projects or like create. Yeah, anyone that creates. Being right is opinions that people have from their own perspective. So as long as you're right for yourself, boom, mic drop. 1, 2. Post it, do it. And posting is a process. So just hit the button, process it. I'm enjoying that everyone that is around me has had the same vibes. Like people have started up podcasts, they pulled the trigger on that. They've started their own vlogs on YouTube. They've started to pull the trigger. I know it takes a lot to get in front of a camera because I'm sitting in front of a camera and I know what that does to me and I know how much it takes and how much it's taking away from things that I could have been doing behind the camera or on the sidelines. So I know it takes a lot. So that's why when like my sister's present, I give her a kudos because it's pulling her away from something that she's either wanting to work on, and man, she has a lot of projects that she's working on. But it also puts her in front of a camera, which she's equally uncomfortable with. And I've done that multiple times to her where I'm like, let's go do photography, take pictures of you in New York when she was coming in to visit. Every time she would visit, I would block out that time. I would make sure that she's in present company because she's not here when she wasn't here. She was living in Texas for a while. So I'd block off a lot of time and make sure that she's someone that I'm able to see. Uh, and I appreciate her being like my co-host on this show. And it kind of reflects that I need her to be here when she's not. Because I don't have someone to bounce ideas, even though her voice might be a little low. And thank you for your comments on that. But that's her. Till she gets comfortable in front of the cameras and projects like I try to do, I don't think that'll happen. So bear with us as we grow, as people, as individuals. And hopefully we're here to pass on that uncomfortable sensation and we become more naturally inclined to be responsive on camera as we are off camera. I had that perspective brought to my awareness yesterday because I was vlogging, and when I vlog, I change my demeanor. I want to be acknowledged. I want to be outgoing. I want to be present for people, just like happy-go-lucky. But when I'm off camera, I'm very focused and direct, and maybe I'm not as exposed in facial demeanor. I could be happy and not show a smile. Yeah, that could be the case. So I have to verbally communicate it. Like, no, I'm enjoying this. You know, oh, that was funny. Even though I'm not laughing externally or smiling externally, it's happening within. But yeah, that's another rabbit hole. Sorry. So getting started is the last thing I want to touch upon. Getting started. Toss and Turn, to me, has been a project that has been pending. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've asked a few friends to help me out. And by friends, honestly, I'm surrounded by like beautiful souls that they have their own projects and they're willing to sacrifice time, because that is what it is, to work with me or collaborate on ideas. And the responses, especially like given time restrictions on our own lives, have only been like a blessing. I've had people work. For those not listening, I'm trying not to choke up because it's potentially like something near and dear to me, that they're able to give committed amounts of time, even during the holiday season, knowing that they're working on their own projects and self. So I appreciate that. So getting started, do it. Get a notebook. Use notes on your phone if that's all you can do. Take a post-it note. Start tagging things down that can get you ready and willing to do the work. Everyone has their processes and no one is the same. So figure out what works best for you. Try not to work on a deadline of like getting started. So don't say I'm going to start on a Monday. Just say I need to start. I think days of the week have a hindrance, because if you miss that day, you won't start. And this is coming from someone that has been on a 10-day training regimen that I've hesitated to start for a while. But I'm in it, 10 days in. And I say 10 days because it's only a 5-day-a-week thing. But in my mind, it's 5 days, but I'm 14 days in, because even those days that I'm kind of not working it, I'm working on something else that will aid it. So numbers don't accrue till I'm on my, how do you even say that, 11th day, which is really the 15th day. If you can follow that math, great. But if you can't, that's okay. I'm just really strange with those calculations because I've had history of like progression, right? So getting started is very important. Don't put a set date down. Just work on the things that'll get you to the starting point. I like the idea of someone saying, hey, I'm going to run a marathon, or I'm going to join a specific marathon-ish thing, whether it's like a triathlon or it's a bike athlon, anything with athlon on it. Like, yeah, getting started is very important. So if you pick a date, what people do is that they have a tendency of buying a ticket to something that encourages them to start a particular exercise and work. So if that works for you, great. But for the most part, not everyone's financially equipped to drop $170 on a marathon in New York. So I think the idea, or even certain things that don't even need like a physical attribute so that you can get started. So if you have a project that you kind of want to start, even just writing down what it is that you need will help you. Like, I know I need a lot of things to get this up and running to the production level that I would love to have it at, but I'm okay with letting the process unfold as it's happening. It's taken a large toll to even sit down and edit. Last week's edit with that whole hour process kind of showed me that I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to run a 45-minute to an hour podcast. It'll consume too much time, where that's okay if I wanted to make it a business end. And I hear you. Hey, you're already doing that. Why don't you just... Not really. That's not what I'm going for. I hear the voices of reason from all aspects of my life that I shouldn't talk about it as like I'm not trying to make an income. But that isn't the gist. I really wanted to sit down with my sis, and today I'm not. So I blocked out the time to do the episode regardless, because I need to show myself more than you that I am willing to put in the work, and block out the time and say that I'm going to do something when I'm going to do something, or else it's only going to be diminishing or taking away from what I'm trying to do, which is have accountability. And that's what getting started requires. It requires accountability. It requires you to stop flipping through channels or using a medium of sorts to watch or streamline. I'm always asked by like those around me, hey, did you get to watch this show? I'm like, not really. I kind of just had it streaming in the background because I pay for internet and I am next to a monitor. But I'm doing work. I kind of heard the whole episode, so we can talk about it, but I'm not like, I use it more like radio. Does that make sense? And then when I'm like willing to get inspired or requiring a workout, I'll put some AMC. That's anime music clips, or AMS music videos, or AMV. It's just, it all represents just putting something that inspires me with music that triggers that emotion, and then I can get a really solid workout. For those monsters out there, they know who they are. I send them direct messages. Like, we've become friends over the years, whether that's because we were at the gym or because I'm DMing, as one would say, like these people that continue to post inspirational videos that have nothing to do with anything but just like their regimen and workout, and the edits aren't as crisp as some professionals would have them, but they're showing the raw, natural regiments that they partake, and their personality just shines through it because they are relentless in the pursuit of their existing happiness. And I show praise to those that do that, even though they might not see it as a big thing. Like, I don't necessarily see this as a big thing, but to me it's big for me to sit here and talk to you for at least 30 minutes out of my day. So I think that's enough time for today. What is your mission statement? What do you want to be? Is a question that I would ask many of you. I know a lot of people that have launched different apps this year or have started their, I want to say side gig, but in reality it's something that they have gone from a hobby to having fully committed their time to a project that has turned into an income or revenue for them, which is, being in the present and creating something that they are passionate about, which is what this is for me. It's a way to sit down and hopefully get Mel back on board here. So she'll be here next episode. She had a friend come into town. That's the whole purpose. She realized that time was more important, and so do I. When my friends come into town, I block off that time. Whatever it is that I had on the agenda for that day, I make sure that takes a back seat to those that I want to share present company with. So even though I'm reluctant and I might not be present during the event, I pull that all together and try to be present. So yeah. We talked about intent, whether someone brings it and it's good or bad. Try to keep yours in the limelight and regulate yours. And as you can clearly see, I have my own issues with a lot of these things. And if I feel some type of way towards someone, I try to speak up about it or just not have them in my present company again. I'm pretty sure you guys, for those of you out there, I'm pretty sure you guys do the same thing. All right? Yeah. And being right, listen to people, because I'm not always right. I've worked on trying to listen, but whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and then I'll ask for forgiveness. I do that same process at work, and for most of it, it's a positive towards the outcome of a project that I'm doing at work. So whether I'm right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm going to learn from that mistake. And someone catches me in the act and they can correct me, all for it. That's kind of how my training has continued to progress. I'll start doing a squat or a lift incorrectly. I'll try to process it the right way, but then boom, someone comes around and I want to listen to their perspective. But if their strength isn't up to par to what I'm trying to do, then there's a likely chance I might not receive your information gracefully. I'll say no, thank you, or I'm not interested or whatnot, and I'll move along. And get started, period. Don't wait for a weekday. Don't wait for a time frame. Just get started. And getting started is writing down a note. That's you getting started. Getting started is you blocking off 30 minutes and thinking about that process. Doesn't even have to be 30 minutes. If you can divert 15 minutes to concentrating on a process that's going to get you started, then great. Do that over the course of a week and you'll have yourself about an hour. Pretty simple. Simple is a stupid term. It's not simple. We all have complexities, but it's as simplified as one can put it. So I use my commute to work on things that are not physical but are mental, whether that's reading, listening to things that will aid me, or writing things down. That's always been the case of what I'm using my commute for. So even when I'm able to commute via like cycling or some form of athleticism or driving that's going to take some of my mindfulness, I'll put that on the back burner and commute via the train, because that is the allotted time that I can use to process thoughts. So hopefully that gives you some insight as to how I go about things in my life. This episode, excuse me, this episode was more, I had things in the back burner, but this episode was more so to reflect how difficult it is when you live in such a big city and then you need time for yourself, that you're surrounded by a lot of people doing so many things, and don't feel like you need to participate in everything. The idea here is that you're on a mission, and maybe you have that vision. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to say thank you for tuning in. It's 2020, and as the saying goes for this year, I'm on that 2020 vision. It's a little bit of a tunnel vision, I guess. So Melissa's saying is, let's see if I can recall it. I'm going off the memory here. It's stay healthy, drink water. Oh man, I don't remember it. Mel, come back. I'll see you guys next time, and take it easy, fam. Peace. I'm gonna unmic. We're doing this process again. Unmic. See you next time, guys. Thank you. Bye.